So this is AP Statistics Chapter 6, and so this chapter is all about probability, and this is just going to be the first part of the chapter in this video. And probability is one of the tougher parts of statistics for some people. For others, it's really straightforward because it's all about math and there's not a lot of discrepancy like there was in Chapter 5 with crazy. And so the first thing with probability is randomness. And so if something's random, it means that the individual outcomes are uncertain and it's going to have a regular distribution when you have a large simulation. So basically, things are going to have kind of what you would expect the number of successes to be when you have a really large sample size. And the probability of an outcome is the number of successes divided by the number of trials. And your probability is always going to be between the values of 0 and 1. So for example, say you can't have a negative probability, and also you can't have a 120% chance of something happening. It's just going to be between 0% chance or 100% chance. And another term we use is sample space. And sample space is represented with an S. And so it's going to be, this is the set of all possible outcomes. And so let's say we're rolling a die, 6-sided die, 1 through 6. The S, we use braces like in solution sets. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so here, another part of statistics are tree diagrams. So for example, we're going to do flipping a coin. So here we have our first flip, and you can either get a tails or you can get a head. And then here we have the possibilities of a second flip, and here we can either get another tails, or we'll get a head, or we can get another tails, or we can get a head. And so for here, the sample space, we have S can be heads, 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 tails, tails, head, or tails, tails. And so there's something called the multiplication principle, and this is just saying that the number of ways to do task A times the number of ways to do task B equals the number of ways you can do both tasks. So let's kind of use our tree diagram to see how this is true. So let's say task A is the first flip and task B is the second flip. So there's two ways you can do task A. You can either get a tails or you can get a head. And there's two ways to do task B. You can either get a tails or a head. So 2 times 2 is 4. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different outcomes. And there's also something to keep in mind is replacement. So replacement is putting back the successes so that there's an equal chance of receiving them again. So for example, let's do the probability of getting a jack in a standard deck of cards. So no replacement is going to be, we start off with a chance of 4 out of 52 or 1/13 jacks in the deck. So since there's 4 jacks in a standard deck of 52 cards, the probability of getting jack is 1 out of 13. And then if we do this again, try to pull a jack from a deck of cards and we don't put back the jack, it's going to be 3 out of 51 because we're taking out 1 card and we're taking out 1 jack. But if we do replacement, we have 1/13, 1 out of 13, and then if we do it again, we're still going to have 1 out of 13 because we're putting back the jack. So when you have replacement, it means that when you replace something, it's going to be independent again. And so you're just as likely to get a jack the second time as you were the first time. But when you don't replace things, then it's not independent anymore, and it's not going to be an equal chance of receiving a jack. Or in any case, sometimes the test will have like marbles or, cards, that sort of thing.